from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. Welcome to the National News broadcast coming to you live from the National News Studio here at Rupavahini. I'm Kasni Balachandra together with Stefan D'Alvis. Let's start off with a quick look at the headlines. The President informs the Mahanayakatheros that many measures have been taken to resolve the economic crisis. The President receives the Constitutional Reforms Committee report. Fuel supply returns to normalcy. The CPC takes measures for continuous fuel supply. The COPE recommends the Sri Lankan Airlines to postpone the purchasing of aircraft by 3 months. World's oldest woman dies. Emmanuel Macron has been re-elected as French president. We move on to those and other stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says many measures have been taken for the immediate resolution of the economic crisis. He further points out that he has a full understanding of the extremely difficult conditions being experienced by the general public.
The President adds that the situation will be rectified by the Cabinet of Ministers with the assistance of specialists by taking into account of the daily statistical records and data. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has conveyed these facts to the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition and all party leaders representing Parliament after responding to a letter sent by the chief prelates of the three Nikayas. The President first of all has informed the Mahanayakatheros with great respect that he has not disregarded any of the facts contained in the set of proposals sent to him by the Mahanayakatheros of the three chapters. The plans prepared pertaining to the provision of essential food items, medicines, domestic gas as well as fuel to the general public are presently being implemented with stern supervision. Accordingly, the new Finance Minister, the new Central Bank Governor and the new Secretary to the Treasury, under the guidance of the international financial experts appointed by the President, are already taking the necessary steps in consultation with the relevant international financial institutions and friendly countries. As a result, the International Monetary Fund and the Government of India have already responded positively and added that he firmly believes that a temporary solution to the current economic crisis can be achieved within the next few weeks until a lasting solution is found to the current economic crisis. As soon as he became the President, he added that a committee of legal experts was appointed to draft a new constitution. The committee has been holding lengthy consultations with various political parties, various groups and experts over a period of about 2 years and is preparing a draft for a new constitution. The President also said the committee has also informed him that the draft is being finalized. Therefore, the President adds that he wishes to respectfully inform them that the draft prepared in this manner will be submitted to the Cabinet of Ministers as soon as it is received and then will be presented to Parliament upon approval. He added that a copy of the draft will be sent to the Venerable Theras as well. As the President of the country, he added that he is committed to stabilizing democracy in the country. The President has also mentioned that he would support the repealing of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, which they have mentioned if any action is taken in Parliament in this regard, and would like to kindly remind that such an amendment should be made jointly by the President and Parliament. It is also regrettable that so far there has been no positive response to the invitation extended to all political parties seeking their contribution to the all-party conference to find lasting solution to the present situation in the country, and to the sincere request for assistance in liberating the country from its current position by accepting ministerial portfolios. Nevertheless, the President has also stated that he would like to inform them that his invitation remains the same for all political parties. No matter what we do, all processes must be constitutional, and the aspirations of the people must be realized within the current constitution. Therefore, he has stressed that neither he nor the government will at any time disregard the proposals or the aspirations of the people. Without a cabinet, the administration of a country cannot function. Also, the absence of a cabinet is not practical accordingly. The President added that he had to appoint a cabinet of ministers consisting of a majority of young members with the assistance of senior ministers. The President has also respectfully noted that these appointments were made for a short period of time to find a quick solution to the burning issues of the people. During the 2.5 years of his tenure, so far he would like to recall that his government has not used batons or tear gas or done any act to suppress such protests in general at any of the protests, demonstrations, roadblocks which disrupt public life, organized by various political parties as well as various ethnic groups, university students and social activists. The President has also respectfully reminded that no protest or demonstration in front of his office was repressed by the police or armed forces. He further stated that he was deeply saddened by the incident that took place during the public protest on the 19th of April and has instructed several teams to conduct a formal inquiry into it. He also hoped to inform them the results of the inquiry as soon as those investigations are completed. The President has also humbly recalled that if the Venerable Mahasangha were to propose a certain arrangement to overcome the current political crisis with the assistance of all political parties as well as to provide solutions for the current economic crisis, he will extend his fullest support in this regard.
Secretary to President Gamini Senrat says that the report of the Committee on Constitutional Reform has been received by the Presidential Secretariat. A communique issued under the signature of the Secretary to the President further says the President has expressed his sincere appreciation to the Chairman and members of the committee for their valuable work reflecting sustenance, commitment and dedication. It also points out that the contents of the report will be considered in depth by the government with a view to determining further measures to be taken. The Aruna newspaper has reported yesterday that Venerable Omalpe Sobhita Thero has forged the signature of Mahanayaka Thero of the Asgiriya chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Gnanaratna Thero, in the letter submitted to the President and the Prime Minister by the Mahanayaka Theros of the three Nikayas on the 20th of this month.
The newspaper has also reported that upon strong displeasure expressed by the Mahanayaka Theros regarding that act, Venerable Omalpe Sobhita Thero has apologized.
The joint statement has included several measures to be taken to pacify the existing turbulent condition. The other signatories to the document were the Mahanayaka Theros of the Siam, Malwatu, Asgiri, Amarapura and Sri Lanka Ramanya chapters. Sources of the Asgiri Mahanikaya say that a scanned signature has been included in the letter. Quote, although the Mahasangha from Colombo who arrived in Kandy to discuss on the issue with the Malwatu and Asgiri Mahanayaka Theros were preparing to conduct an upavasa or a protest, the efforts were thwarted by the two Mahaviharas. The Mahasangha comprising of Venerable Omalpe Sobhita Thero have first visited Asgiri Mahavihara and later on the Malwatu Mahavihara. It has also been found out that the communique issued after talks with the Asgiri Nayaka Thero was later on altered. However, upon receipt of the signature of the Malwatu Nayaka Thero, efforts have been taken to not to show the signature to the Asgiri Mahanayaka Thero. Only a scanned signature has been used. When the Asgiri Mahanayaka Thero has expressed his concern over the act, an apology has been made. Unquote.
Supply of fuel from the Kolonnawa terminal has been intensified. The Ministry of Power and Energy says more fuel stocks are scheduled to reach the island in the next few days. National television crews have witnessed large number of Bowsers arriving at the Kolonnawa terminal to receive fuel today as well. Our correspondents have also observed that long queues at the filling stations are declining. Queues at many filling stations in the Colombo district were becoming shorter. Adequate quantities of fuel are being received by filling stations in the Kaluthara district as well, with the commencement of the program to distribute fuel continuously. Our correspondent says queues in filling stations in the Kegol district are also getting shorter. Filling station owners in the Kurunagala district say they are receiving enough fuel supplies. Fuel distribution in the Vaunia district is also being carried out as usual. This is a scene of filling stations in the Polonnaruwa district. Filling stations in the Ratnapura town are also receiving adequate fuel supplies. Scenes of general public receiving fuel without waiting in queues have been witnessed. The Public Utilities Commission has released a timetable for the discontinuation of power tomorrow and the day after. Accordingly, all zones will undergo power cuts of the duration of 2 hours within the period of 9 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. A further 1 hour and 20-minute power cut will be enforced in all zones between 5 p.m. and 9:30 p.m.
Several teacher trade unions are engaged in a work stoppage focusing on several demands. However, the national television has observed that some teachers have reported to duties as usual. The teachers engaged in the strike were reported to have arrived at post offices today to send telegrams informing of taking sick leave. Parents were seen taking their children back home from schools as a result of the teachers' strike. Our correspondents have reported that some of the teachers were carrying out duties disregarding the strike. Parents have stated that they do not approve the trade union action, which sacrifices the lives of children for the sake of winning demands.
A Japanese woman certified as the world's oldest person has died at the age of 119, local officials said today. Kane Tanaka was born on January 2nd, 1903 in the southwestern Fukuoka region of Japan. The same year, the Wright brothers flew for the first time, and Marie Curie became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. Tanaka was in relatively good health until recently and lived at a nursing home where she enjoyed board games, solving math problems, soda and chocolate. In her younger years, Tanaka ran various businesses including a noodle shop and a rice cake store. She married Hideo Tanaka a century ago in 1922, giving birth to 4 children and adopting a 5th. She had planned to use a wheelchair to take part in the torch relay for the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, yet she was unable to do so with the COVID-19 pandemic. When the Guinness World Records recognized her as the oldest person alive in 2019, she was asked what moment was the happiest her life. Her answer was now. Japan has the world's most elderly population according to World Bank data, with around 28% aged 65 or over. The oldest ever living person verified by Guinness was a French woman, Jeanne-Louise Calment, who died at the age of 122 years and 164 days in 1997. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has said he hopes Russian losses in Ukraine will deter its leadership from repeating its actions.
He added that Ukraine can still win the war if given the right support, and praised the efforts of its military.
The first step in winning is
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was speaking after meeting President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv, accompanied by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The visit marked the highest-level trip to Ukraine by the U.S. official since the invasion began over 2 months ago. The meeting between the U.S. and Ukrainian parties, which ran for over 3 hours, comes as Russia escalates its military campaign in the south and east of the country. The U.S. Defense Secretary announced that the United States will allocate an additional $713 million of military aid to the Ukrainian government and 15 other allied European governments fearful of Russian aggression. Russia's offensive in Ukraine enters its 3rd month with thousands dead and millions displaced as Kyiv desperately seeks relief for Ukrainians trapped in the battered city of Mariupol. In the meantime, Russia's defense ministry has announced a ceasefire around the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol to allow a civilian evacuation from the industrial area that has been sheltering the remaining Ukrainian resistance in the port city. Meanwhile, military spending in Europe and Russia surged in the run-up to Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, despite the subduing effects of the pandemic on economic growth, according to data published by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. And in more local stories, today is the 17th day of the protest being conducted in front of the Presidential Secretariat in Galle-Face.
A large crowd, including representatives of the Inter-University Student Federation, was seen remaining at the location even at night yesterday. A protest march organised by the Inter-University Student Federation was conducted in Colombo yesterday. The protesters, after engaging in an agitation in front of the official residence of the Prime Minister at Vijayarama Mavatha, walked towards the Goldface Green. Several groups from numerous parts of the island have been conducting agitations in front of the Presidential Secretariat since this morning. However, the police have removed roadblocks erected in the Goldface Green in connection with the Inter-University Student Federation protest.
Protests were conducted in many parts in the island yesterday as well. An agitation was conducted in the Wadua town yesterday. Protesters have remained for nearly 1 hour singing patriotic songs. People in Kottagether in Piliandala have also conducted a protest last night. An agitation was also held in the Variapola town last evening. The protesters were also reported to have entered the residence of State Minister D.B. Herath, located around 2 kilometers from the town. A similar protest was also held in the Horana town last night. Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, Professor Charita Herath, has made recommendations to the Sri Lankan Airlines today to postpone by 3 months the procurement process relating to the hiring of 21 aircraft for the Sri Lankan Airlines during the period 2022 to 2025.
Sri Lankan Airlines was brought before the COPE committee today, according to a proposal presented during a parliamentary discussion regarding hiring aircrafts for Sri Lankan Airlines. The COPE chairman has also given instructions to the secretaries to the Ministry of Tourism as well as to the state ministries of Aviation and Export Zone Development. The committee has also pointed out that it is important to focus more attention to fulfill the needs amidst the challenging economic environment, despite the fact that they acknowledge the importance of replacing aircraft of which dates of expiry have lapsed. Chairman of the Sri Lankan Airlines, Ashok Patharage, said that his institute will have to forego some of the 24 aircrafts now in its possession. However, purchasing of new aircrafts is a time-consuming process. Based upon the current market trends, it would take 6 to 12 months to fulfill the procurement process. The chairman also said that the program will be carried out via the ministry with a sense of transparency. The COPE committee members have stated that they appreciate the efforts of Sri Lankan Airlines to elevate the company to a higher status with the assistance of professionals who possess higher managerial capabilities.
The Department of Meteorology predicts showers or thunder showers in the provinces of Western, Sabaragamo, Southern, Uva and North Central during the evenings or at night. Certain locations in these areas may receive fairly strong rainfall of around 75 millimeters. In several other areas as well, showers or thunder showers may occur in the evenings or at night. The Met Department reports adds that showers could also occur in the southern province and in the coastal areas in the Karuthara district in the mornings as well. The department requests the general public to take necessary precautions to minimize the accidents caused as a result of lightning and strong winds.
A special Easter service was conducted at the St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican today with the participation of His Eminence the Archbishop Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit and Sri Lankan nationals in Italy. His Holiness Pope Francis has presided over the event. Some of the victims of the Easter attack were also present on this occasion. The Sri Lankan delegation has left for the Vatican on an invitation extended by the Pontiff. Director of Media Communications in the Archdiocese, Reverend Jude Krishantha, said the delegation was comprised of 60 persons. His Holiness has exchanged views with the victims of the Easter attack after the conducting of the service. Time for a quick break. We will be back with more international stories.
Terima kasih, Pantamai.
Welcome back. And in your foreign news tonight, Emmanuel Macron has won 5 more years as France's president after a convincing victory over rival Marine Le Pen, who nevertheless secured the far right's highest share of the vote yet. Macron won by 58.55% to 41.45%, a greater margin than expected. The centrist leader told jubilant supporters he would be a president for all. He is the first sitting president in 20 years to be re-elected. Despite her loss, rival Marine Le Pen said her significant vote share still marked a victory. The ideas her national rally represented had reached new heights, she told her supporters. She won more than 13 million votes yesterday on a platform of tax cuts to tackle the high cost of living, a ban on wearing the Muslim headscarf in public, and a referendum on immigration controls. More than 1 in 3 voters did not vote for either candidate. Turnout was just under 72%, the lowest in a presidential run-off since 1969.
Various impressive science promotion activities were rolled out across China yesterday, including museum tutoring, photographic exhibitions, kite flying, competitions and space breeding know-hows to celebrate the 7th Space Day of China. Yesterday marked the 7th Space Day of China since its official establishment in 2016. The 2022 Space Day of China celebrations launched online yesterday morning, with the debut of 3 aerospace public welfare ambassadors. A rich collection of space-themed photos from astronauts and shutterbugs had attracted waves of visitors to the Beijing Aerospace Control Center. A spacecraft feature, kite race in East China's Shandong province, and lunar soil exhibition in South China's Hainan province were organized in celebration of the Space Day.
A garden of colorful flocks at the park in north of Tokyo has become a major tourist attraction. About 400,000 creeping moss flocks are growing over 1.8 hectares at Hitsujima Park in Chichibu City, Saitama Prefecture. The event was cancelled and held in a smaller scale during the last 2 years. Tourists from various parts of the country and the world were seen enjoying while strolling in the garden. The authorities have said that the full bloom will continue until the beginning of May.
China will start engineering the 4th phase of its lunar exploration program this year. China National Space Administration said this yesterday. The major goal for Phase 4 of the lunar program is to conduct the scientific exploration at the lunar South Pole in order to facilitate the construction of a basic structure for a lunar research station in the region. China's lunar exploration program was launched in 2004 with 3 strategic steps of orbiting, landing and returning. In 2007, Change E1 completed China's first lunar orbiting, and at the end of 2020, Change E5 returned with some 1.7 kilos lunar sampling. The safe return of the lunar samples to Earth marked a successful conclusion of China's current 3-step lunar exploration program of orbiting around and landing at the Moon and bringing back samples.
Prima Kotumi, Pantamay.
And in your sports news tonight, the Lucknow Super Giants team beat the Mumbai Indians team in an Indian Premier League cricket tournament match yesterday.
Welcome to
The match
And that's a wrap on tonight's English news. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time. Good night and take care.